to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Doveston and it is our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 11th of May 2026. Thank you for being here with me. Last week we had Hexagram 16, Enthusiasm, 3 Changing Lines, and Hexagram 33, Retreat. An interesting journey for the week of building up the battery, putting on those musical notes, okay, getting the energy going, getting your team, getting your life, getting your power going by having something to motivate and energize you and your family and your team. Working through those 3 changing lines, all the challenges. I hope that you discovered what cave that you were in and you found your way to the light, that you took a vigorous action and that you overcame the heaviness of stress, okay, to keep moving forward despite any impediments that came your way. Plus that retreat energy, Hexagram 33, really asking us to recognize where we've come across something that's just not for us right now, too much, too soon, and taking time out to withdraw and replenish the energy, the troops, your team, and get ready for the next push out. Something about this is saying no, pulling back and making a conscious choice, a strategic move to say no to something for the time being. If there was anything that came up for you working with that energy last week, please do share a comment. Right, getting into this week, what is the I Ching? Asking us to pay attention to more than anything else. And we have, after those 3 changing lines last week and all the action this week, we have a locked hexagram. That means no changing lines. There's only 1 hexagram for this week, 1 focus. And I often say that when we get 1 hexagram, I see it as a doubling down of the energy. Okay, you won't get these like little intense pops of change, but you will get this doubling down and intensification, a simple focus, but doubled and intensified because we have it locked. And this week, our hexagram is 58, joy. Yay! Okay. This hexagram is the doubling of lake. Okay, so it's the doubling of lake energy. So it's double joy locked. Okay, joy is all about the enthusiastic inner joy that's shared with others, that's infectious, that leads to communication and exchange and teaching and sharing. It's like this lake has a bubbling brook and the energy just wants to pour forth and bring energy to others. It's a wonderful energy that is addictive as much as it is contagious, okay, and that's the point. When we work with this hexagram joy, very often it talks to this idea of speaking, okay, of communicating with others, of sharing things. This is the teaching hexagram. This is about sharing and communicating and teaching and passing on and creating these beautiful cycles of energy between people, of doing things that just bring you joy, as opposed to doing things that are just about showing up and fulfilling all the commitments. When I get this hexagram and I work with it in my life, I look for what are the things that bring me joy, because many of us, we go through phases where we get up, the alarm goes off, we have our coffee, we get ready, we go to work, there's supper, then there's home commitments and family commitments, and we kind of like in a Groundhog Day, we wake up a few weeks later and we're like, it's like every day is just unrelenting, okay, and we feel like there's like no joy in it, okay. What this hexagram comes to bring is it tunes us into choosing joy, choosing to do things that bring us happiness and fulfillment and energy. Okay. Now, if you've looked at the thumbnail for this episode, I would like to introduce you to Jeff the Llama. Okay. Now, Jeff the Llama is a crochet project I did last year as my first time ever. I'd never crocheted before. And my sister-in-law showed me how, and I got going, and I did this pattern called the No Drama Llama. It's a free pattern. You can get it if you're keen. Okay. Anyway, Jeff looks a bit chunkier than the pattern does, but that's okay. We love him. But the process is, it was totally an irrelevant project, right? There was no real functional purpose in making a stuffed llama that's crocheted. This is not going to change the world. This is not going to put money in the bank account. It was a project of sheer joy. It was joy choosing the material. It was joy the pattern. It was joy learning something new. sharing it with my sister-in-law and going through this process, and then going and doing this project, putting him together, finishing him off. It was just pure joy to do, right? And once he was finished, oh, everyone wanted to hug Jeff. He is so good at hugs. And so, here I am, an adult, and I just love this thing. Right? He sits on the couch, and every now and then when you need a hug, you grab Jeff and you feel a whole lot better. And that's the idea of joy. And I wanted to share that with you because we get so caught up in our lives and in the seriousness and all the things that we need to do that we forget the power of joy and doing things where it is just wonderful. We just feel so affirmed, so full of energy, so full of the capacity to step back into our lives with new energy and new eyes, doing things differently. And no one is going to create that joy for us other than ourselves. No one is suddenly going to come and bring you the joy, all right? It is something we create. It's something that we nurture and we make choices about. We can make choices to not bring joy into our lives. We can make choices to do it. And so whatever joy means to you, whatever brings you just absolute pleasure, it doesn't have to have any meaningful purpose, right? Any contribution in any real sense of the word other than to bring you happiness. And what is wrong with doing that? That's what we have to ask ourselves. That's what you have to think about. What brings me joy? Do I invest in joy? Not mirthless, just endless self-satisfaction. That's not what this is about. This is about doing something that just connects you to a feeling of joy. Because let me tell you how much joy Jeff has created, not just for me in my process of making him, but for other people, okay? People look at him and they just smile and they're just filled with energy, and that is what it is. It's infectious, okay? It passes on to other people and it makes other people think, gee, what do I do for joy? What can I do? We have to take personal responsibility for how we create joy and happiness in our lives. And sometimes this hexagram comes along just to remind us, what do we need to do to bring joy? Because after Jeff was done, there was a huge vacuum. What do I do next? And I'm still trying to answer that question. What am I going to do to bring me joy? So I'm going to join you in this week of tapping into what am I going to do next to bring the joy? Where does joy come from and manifest in a way that just is life affirming and just puts you back into yourself, puts you back into your life, puts you back into what it is that's really important. It doesn't take away, it doesn't remove you from your commitments. And then, of course, when we think about joy, we think about the ultimate joy. When we can get to a state where when we honor our commitments, we feel joy, right? That is the power place. Okay. So we don't do things that create joy, and we do things that are commitments. They are separate, and that we feel we are obligated to do these commitments. And as we're doing the commitments, we're like in that space, I just need to get through this commitment. When we can feel joy fulfilling our commitments. And that is the ultimate lesson of this hexagram. When you can find that place, then you know you have worked with this hexagram in a very powerful way. When I fulfill my commitments, I feel joy. And my commitment is to bring joy and happiness into my life at the same time. Okay, let's see how this week pans out for us all as we tap into this energy and we find joy in our commitments, not heaviness. Thank you so much for being here with me. If this was useful or valuable, hit a thumbs up or a like. I will let Jeff know. And of course, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the bell and the follow button on the podcast. And I will see you again very soon for our next weekly forecast. Until then, take care.